Hello my friends and freundins, and welcome to the Troglodite channel. And for any potential new viewers, the Troglodite likes to build tanks, World War II tanks to be exact. Today I will build this beautiful US Army M4A1 mid-production Sherman tank from border models. Now, it is the first time I assemble something from this model kit company, but from what I have seen so far on the sprues, the detail is pretty good, same as the quality. So let's dig into it. This time the assembly was really fast and relatively easy, with this being a Sherman tank, which should be generally consisted of fewer parts than its German opponents. Although I will have to say there were 2 or 3 issues with the overall fitting of the parts. In some places I would have to apply a lot of force in order to make everything fit in place. But this only happened a couple of times and it didn't give me any further problems. So in general I would have to say that this is a very nice model and also easy to assemble. For example, the suspension, of which every part went together in a very fast and straightforward way, and the result looks very good with some beautiful details. There were also a few photo-etched parts included in the kit. Positioned in strategic places, they really make this model shine. I wanted to texture the surface of the turret a little bit more, but not all of it. So I used some masking tape and covered the part which I wanted to be relatively smoother. The entire hull is already textured, but I thought it needed to be a little bit rougher in a couple of places. I struggled a little bit to connect the upper and lower hull together, but eventually it was done and it looked good. So I got the idea of gluing a few photo-etched numbers on the front of the hull This could imitate the serial number from the factory, perhaps, or something like that. I was lucky to have these spare photo-etched numbers from my M4A1 SHERMAN tank, which I had assembled a few months earlier. You should watch this series of videos, I really like it. The kit also includes this beautiful set of 3D printed light guards. But they are very thin and very sensitive, so you should be careful when you try to remove them from their base. Nevertheless, they are far easier to position in place than their photo-etched counterparts. The headlights themselves, I didn't find them to be well detailed, so I decided to replace them with a spare part which I had, and the detail on these looks really nice. They too came from the M4A1 SHERMAN kit. And of course I cut some photo-etched leather straps and metallic buckles to hold the tools of the vehicle in place. This is one of my very favorite parts in model making, and I also find it to elevate the overall aesthetics of the tank. After I had stapled a little bit more cement glue on the surface of the turret to make it a bit rougher, I started gluing on it the remaining details. The barrel of the tank is made of aluminum and it looks really nice, but again I struggled to position it in place. So much that I was afraid I might break some piece. The hatch doors on the top, again, they do not fit perfectly, and as a result they do not close on each other. But this is not a problem for me, because I intend to keep the hatch open. But if you think about it, it is a little bit annoying, in a hypochondriac way of thinking, let's say. But the same doesn't go for the tracks, which although were a pain in the butt to remove from the sprues, I really have to say that they are the best looking tracks I have assembled so far. They are also absolutely workable and very strong, although they didn't look like it while I was assembling them. They also fell really easily in place. I had no problems whatsoever positioning them. And just like that, I had a set of beautiful realistic tracks on my tank. I noticed that the 50 caliber machine gun lacked of detail as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looked okay, but it could have looked much better. So I pimped it up with whatever spare parts I could find from my older models. But eventually it wouldn't fit into its designated place, so I had to trim the hole a little bit more with my Proxon rotary. Eventually I went back to the 50 cal machine gun, and this time I replaced the bullets with some more realistic looking ones from the ammunitions box. I think now it looks much better. After I glued the towing cable in place and a few other details, I realized that the assembly was complete. It was time to dress the vehicle with its baggage and stowage accessories. The kit included a lot of them with some pretty good detail, so I ended up using most of them. But of course I added a few of my own. Of course, I would manipulate all of them to look a little bit more realistic, especially the tarps, which, since they are made of plastic, sometimes they have the tendency not to sit flat on the surface of the vehicle, and because of that, sometimes the Proxon rotary tool was required. Then, at one point, I totally forgot about the lower hull and the stowage on the back, and I started decorating the turret. I made lots of thin leather straps from masking tape, and I used them to hold the helmets, the tarps and the rucksacks in place. Although I have no idea how I will be able to apply the decals on these specific spots when the time comes. But I guess we will see. I also wanted to add some extra detail on the protective tracks which I had positioned on the front of the tank. they would somehow have to be held in place in real life, and this made me think of the 3D printed bolts that I had bought some time ago. So I chose to make it look as if it had been held in place with a bunch of heavy bolts. And for this I used some really nice 3D printed ones from Royal Models. This made some sense in my brain, and luckily it ended up looking really nice but also realistic. Now back to the stowage accessories, which I had glued together into smaller sub-assemblies in order to make the positioning easier. I also used these two beautiful 50 caliber ammunition boxes from Master Miniatures. They really look nice. And if you can notice the two grey big boxes that are supposed to be made of wood, I gave them a nice finer texture by scrubbing them on their surface with an X-Acto knife. I decided to use this beautiful tank commander figure from Alpine Miniatures. He's already primed black, so I don't know how much of the detail you can see, but he looks awesome and he fits really well with the tank. So that was it. Pretty much everything is in place. I only wanted to add one more detail, a tarp, on a spot which I found to be a little bit empty. So I prepared my Tamiya epoxy putty and I made a tarp-shaped piece, which I positioned in place and manipulated with a brush. Then I put the bucket with the bottles on top of it, and now the tank was actually complete. The troglodyte is very happy with this one. It really exceeded my expectation and came out even better looking than I thought it would before the assembly. And it really came out beautiful. The details are not that many, and it's relatively simpler than a German tank, but they are there, they look good, and they make up for a beautiful result. I'm really happy with this assembly. If you like it too, friends and freundins, you know what to do. Like the episode, subscribe to my channel, and if you want, leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear what you think about this simple but pretty Sherman. Thanks again for watching, friends and freundins, and I will see you again soon in the next episode where the troglodyte will paint and weather this beautiful Sherman tank. So long and hold fast.